Mark, so I've got you got me thinking about what we were talking about before, and I've got a couple of questions for you. I've got two actually, two questions for you about the morning session, the extrication and trauma.
Okay.
What makes ATACC's approach to delivering training? What makes it unique in your eyes?
I think we've always focused on making things as realistic as possible. You can go on an extrication course and just learn how to get somebody out of the car on a board, or now to walk them out these days. But there's so much more to extrication. There's the initial approach and the safety. There's assessing the casualty in the car and even doing the simplest things inside the vehicle. It's interacting between the emergency services and then ultimately the trauma care and the rapid extrication and ongoing care. And I think we want to pull all that together and make it feel as real as we possibly can.
Okay. What about the content? So that's your methodology, your approach to it. What about the content of that morning session? So just tell me a bit more about that.
Okay, so we're going to start off with two sort of master classes. We're going to take people through two things. First of all is the actual process of extrication. The exit project has told us a great deal about how we should now tackle an extrication, and the bottom line is getting people out faster. And I think in ATACC, we've got our own methodology for that.
Yeah.
We call it Samurai Laser. That's the letters that we use. And it's based on the method, the speed, and the route. And the focus is making it as quick and as smooth as possible. I think the second part of that then is how you make decisions around that and how you relay those decisions to colleagues and other members of the emergency services, applying the Jessup type principles, but also making those decisions when the pressure may be mounted. There may be multiple casualties, you've got multiple people there who seem to all know what they're doing, and you're unsure of yourself. How do you get that confidence, and how do you ask the right questions and give the right answers when you're asked?
Okay, so at the heart of that session, what will it be for you? Because you mentioned Jessup, the Samurai Laser, and the exit project. Are we likely to see all three elements of that in that morning session?
We absolutely will, and a lot more, because what we're going to do is we're going to use those things as tools and embed them in a live, large-scale exercise. So in addition to that, wrapped around it is casualty care. It's got to be casualty centered. So there's going to be advanced level trauma, and that's going to be tied in with all of the decision making, the extrication process, everything else all tied in as one. We describe it as medical rescue. The two things need to come together. Medical cannot be separate from rescue. It's got to be seamless.
Yeah. So I'm watching this. Are you using live casualties? Is it running real time? What's?
Yeah, I'm sure many of you have seen what ATACC does. We always prefer live casualties. We hate mannequins unless there's no other way, and there usually is some way. We use a lot of wearable technology developed in our own simulation lab. We use a lot of CAS sim, well-briefed professional actors. It will feel very real, as well as the actual extrication, which will be completely real time.
Yeah, and again, I'm making the assumption that there's a lot of it in it for people all the way from first responders, all the way through to the emergency services and the doctors and the hospitals, that whole spectrum of people.
Yeah, that's what one of the things that makes this real. When the people arrive, they will arrive in a typical sort of order that they would see like this, as you say, from a first responder who may attend, a zero responder, member of the public.
Yeah.
Then different emergency services will start to arrive, and they will then have to interact together and produce a plan based on what the confronts have been in terms of prioritization, in terms of management, to give the casualties the best chances.
And the medical and non-technical are embedded within that.
Absolutely, all together. It's got to be seamless. Medical rescue.
Makes sense. Okay, Mark. I'd like to ask you some questions about the afternoon session.
Okay.
Cardiac arrest. Again, it seems to be going round and round and round and round. Can you tell me some more about the afternoon session?
I think that's a very first summary of where cardiac arrest management has been. It's just been going round and round and round. It's not improved. Nearly 10 years, survival has just not moved. 10% or even less in the UK. That's pretty appalling. We've done a huge amount of work on bystander CPR and early defibrillation, and that has certainly made some inroads, and there's more work to do there. But what we want to do in this session is focus on the advanced level of things. What is changing there? Because I don't see much changing up until recently.
Okay, so I'm watching that session in the afternoon. I'm engaged in that session in the afternoon. what's the content? What are you going to be talking about, showing us doing?
So we're really looking for those people who are at an advanced life support level. And what we'll be exploring is a number of different things. Well, first of all, be looking at why is there a problem? Why haven't things improved for a short time? Then quite quickly moving on to how can we optimize what we already do? If you sit and look at the ALS algorithm, there's an awful lot of things on there that get unnoticed or are just in the consider section at the bottom and they're not really expanded on and explored. So we're going to look at that and how we can absolutely optimize our current ALS. We're going to talk about POCUS. We're going to talk about mechanical CPR, intubation, against supraglottics. We're going to talk about positioning of mechanical CPR and chest compressions and how much difference even a centimetre of movement up and down the sternum can make in terms of cardiac output. And then we're going to move on to some of the other areas. So I don't know if you want me to tell you about that. Or...
Yeah, please, because I'm just wondering about the format. What would it look like? So I'm a learner. I come along to the session. What's it going to look like?
Okay, so we don't just want to sit and talk. We're going to start off with the type of session we launched in Zermatt this year at the Big Sick, the resuscitator concept, where we will literally discuss as a group the evidence, what is out there for different things, some of the new methods, some of the new practices, and we're going to explore what evidence there is. We're going to be very happy if people bring a laptop or on their phone, they can search this, they can use AI. We're going to explore whatever evidence there is in a facilitated session. And then let's go and do it. Let's go and actually run through the things we've been talking about, which would optimize our ALS.
Excellent. Sounds great. Okay, Mark, thanks for that. So what comes after the resuscitator then? What are you going to be delivering in that afternoon session?
Okay, so resuscitator sort of sets the scene and it absolutely optimizes current ALS practice. But then we want to explore beyond that. And probably the next session that will be of great interest is we focused for so long on chest compressions and optimizing that. There's been a very little focus on ventilation. So we want to explore some of the new ventilation strategies, such as CCSB, and how that could potentially improve survival, and the devices that are available to help us deliver that.
Okay, Mark, final question for me, if I can. I heard the faculty talking about SPEAR.
Okay.
I've no idea what it means. Can you tell me a little bit more about SPEAR and the conversations you've been having?
Okay, so SPEAR is a course that has been developed to teach endovascular resuscitation as part of cardiac arrest management. It's the way some services have already been going in terms of the use of arterial cannulas, in terms of central lines, all to optimize things like diastolic pressure and the delivery of drugs such as adrenaline. And we are going to take a snapshot of that course. If you want to hear more about it, the Research Room podcast is just an excellent podcast on the whole SPEAR course with John Barrett. But if you want to hear a snapshot and a taste of it, well, then come and join our session. We'll have John there, we'll have Holden there, we'll have some of the other people who've been leading on this, and they are going to demonstrate not only the techniques, the practice, the methodology, and then we're going to do some simulations around how that can be involved. And the final session will be exploring how RIBOA, aortic occlusion catheters, may also be part of that in terms of improving outcome in cardiac arrest.
It sounds like a great session, that afternoon session.
It's going to be absolutely cutting edge.
I sense it.
If you want to hear about the latest principles and methods, see them in action, have a go at them yourself. It's a session not to miss.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark.